So I recently made a new TikTok account because my main TikTok account turned into a cat page overnight, especially because this cat video went viral.
Hi guys, this is Garfield, and he likes to lay on a Domino's box, and I just keep kicking him off the counter, but he still goes on the goddamn counter. Like, I don't know how to get him off the goddamn counter. Like, look at him. Oh, big yawn.
So I started uploading some clips from older YouTube videos, and one of them was what your R6 main says about you. And I realized that video is pretty out of date because the meta has changed so much. So in today's video, I'll be making an updated version of that video. So if you guys enjoy the video, make sure that you guys like, sub, and comment, and go ahead and follow me over on TikTok. Let's get right into it. So we're going to start from the newer operators onward, but I want to start with if you don't have a main. Let me just say this. Every single operator in Rainbow Six Siege is good to its own extent. It depends on the map, situation, and site or team comp. So generally, I think if you main nobody, that is the best thing to do, because I don't think you should main one singular op. There are maybe a handful of operators that you could main on all situations, like for example, hard breach role or Jaeger, for example. But some hard breach roles, for example, might be better than others. Like for example, Ace is more universally sound. You wouldn't want to bring Habana on every single map because the lines of sight might need to be a little bit different. Overall, if you don't main an operator, that is good, and you're probably a high IQ player because you understand the game. You're not supposed to main one singular operator, and to be honest, that just isn't fun if you're a one-trick pony, because one of your teammates picks your operator, you're going to probably play very bad. Starting with Grim, I have to know, why do you guys main this operator? He doesn't bring anything else different to the table compared to someone like Lion. Maybe the gun, I guess, if you have the Black Ice Commando, which for some reason I see a lot of people maining operators based on Black Ices, which I guess is valid. Cool skin. Hee hee. I feel like Grim is missing something. I don't know really what it is. It could be a 1.5 times scope. The 1x really limits him compared to other operators. Like for example, you can go Lion right now and have a 50 round mag assault rifle that has a 1.5 times scope, and you get 3 scans, and you won't get caught with your pants down pulling out the stupid launcher. So I'm assuming if you main this operator, you might be a little bit newer to the game because he's not that good, to be honest. He might be a little fun shooting his bees, but he's just not fun. Next is Sense. I'm going to assume if you main Sense that you came from a game like Valorant or any other video game and you're a little bit newer to Rainbow Six Siege, because if you're a long-term player, you just know that Sense is pretty ass. And in all honesty, like, don't get me wrong, you can make Sense's gadget work. It just determines on how well you know lineups with their gadget. But the thing is, like, maining this operator all the time, using this operator over many of the other attackers, just doesn't make sense in my personal opinion. But that's also because I feel like this operator is very useless. I feel like the people at Ubisoft saw Viper in Valorant and saw how effective smokes are in that game and how good Viper is, and they were like, yep, let's try it ourselves. Let's try this little weird smoke wall. If you main Osa, you are probably a sweat, I'm gonna be honest, or you just can't shoot your gun. There's no in between when it comes to maining an operator like Osa, because you have one of the most annoying weapons to sit behind a shield, which is a PDW, and you can just basically camp behind it and just get easy frags. If you main Flores, you understand the utility aspect of Rainbow Six Siege. Flores is a great operator to main, in my personal opinion. There's only a few operators I would main in Siege, one being a hard breach role, other being probably Jaeger or someone to deny the wall, like maybe even Mute or Smoke. But Flores is up there because Flores destroys so much utility. He has so much burn capability, and overall he's just a great operator. So you're valid if you main Flores. If you main Zero, I'm assuming you come from Splinter Cell, or you just understand the aspect of his utility. A lot of people don't really like using Zero, and I don't really know why. I think Zero could be mained and mained pretty well because of the amount of utility that he does bring to the team. There's a lot of capability of him destroying utility, but a lot of the times when I do see him played in high rank, he's usually used for flank watch so people can use their drones and they don't need to like set it up in like a random corner, because drones are a lot easier to spot than Zero cams. So if you main Zero, you probably either one, just think he's cool and you like his gun, or I would assume you're at a higher rank because he's a really solid operator. So I posted a clip from my last What Your R6 Main Says About You, and I kind of shit on Ace because I'm not a big fan of people just mainly running Ace as the primary hard breacher. And keep in mind, I'm not saying Ace is a bad operator. He's probably one of the most effective, well-rounded operators in general. But the thing is, when I say What Your Main Says About You, I'm assuming that you only run this operator mainly. Which means if you, for example, you're going on the map Consulate on basement and you're running Ace, you're throwing. Because what he does is he makes half-ass holes that limits the line of sight for that garage wall. And if that's your primary take, this is an awful operator to go. Keep in mind, I'm not saying Ace is a bad operator all around. He's probably one of the best bang for your buck picks. But all around, there are certain maps where you're going to have to go other hard breaches. And I feel like Ace, a lot of people just like to pick him because he has an AK-12 and they think because he's a hard breach role that he's going to be super useful. But a lot of times you guys are just trolling going Ace on a map like Consulate. Anyways, if you use Ace, I would assume that you're probably playing console because you're maining this guy. And I know for a fact the AK-12 is beloved by console players. Don't get me wrong, it definitely is over on PC as well. If you're primarily maining him, I would definitely assume you're a platinum player and you just think opening a wall is opening a wall. If you main Yana, I would assume that you're also a high IQ player just because all of the utility aspect and the drone work that you get from Yana is honestly amazing, and her guns are really good. The only thing that's lacking out of Yana right now is the 1.5 times scope on the on the ARX. They really took it away from her. The G360 is one of the most consistent weapons in the game, so you can of course run the 1.5 times scope on her, but for some reason, like the ARX, it just hits different when it has a 1.5 times scope. Overall, you main Yana, I appreciate you and thank you for being such a good teammate. If you main Callie, I would assume you just play this game very casually because maining this operator is a troll. Like, there's just no point in maining this specific operator. Don't get me wrong, there's definitely situations where Callie can be quite strong, but a lot of the time she's going to be quite opposite because one, her sniper is limiting for the mobility, and just you have to kind of be stationed holding a stupid long angle with this sniper to be effective. Also, ever since they added secondary EMP grenades, you know, Thatcher isn't banned that much anymore, so like you can just go Thatcher and there's no use for Callie. If you guys main Amaro, I'm assuming that you have severe ADHD and you love flying through random windows at the 5-second mark of every single attacking round, no matter what. No matter if you're losing 3-0 or you're winning 3-0, it doesn't really matter. You just want to fly through the window and have some fun. Callie has a great loadout. She has an SMG-11 and a GH, probably two of the most fun weapons in the game. Of course, you could use the Gong 6, but why would you use this when you're going to be probably dead in the first 15 seconds? You're going to get your 1-for-1 trade and then be happy. If you main Knock, you're a ranked sweat. I know for a fact knock players, they're either ranked sweats or they're bronzes. There's literally no in between with these players because I've played people in ranked like J Slime on PC who absolutely crush the knock play. And then there's people that try to be that guy with knock and they're literally the worst players ever. Anyways, for some reason when I see a knock, I get scared. Like I used to get scared when I saw Cav back in the day. So even with this stupid mop head, like she's kind of scary. If you main Gridlock, you are probably the 1% of players in this game that main this operator because Nomad is just picked way more since Nomad is a 2-2. A lot of people don't like the more chunkier operators, but personally, I love Gridlock. So I gotta say, like, if you main Gridlock, please expose yourself because I want to see what the 1% of ranked players look like that use this operator. If you main Nomad, I'm going to assume you've been a long-term player of this game and you've always played support because a lot of the times when maining an operator like Nomad, it can be a little bit boring. I'm not gonna lie. You're having to make sure you don't die the first 5 seconds of the round. Like you can't really have that, you know, main first contact play as this operator, but this operator is really solid and I would assume that you are a really good support player if you run Nomad. If you main Maverick, I'm going to assume that you enjoy the complex strats of Rainbow Six Siege because maining an operator like Maverick, even though he came out back in year 3, he is probably one of the most complex operators in terms of his gadget. So you must have a lot of patience or you just like fucking up walls and throwing rounds. If you main Finka, I'm going to assume that you were LMG crutch back in the day. or that you've been playing her since launch. And if you've known since launch, she used to be cracked, man. Like the Lion Blitz Finka Rush and Dokkaebi used to be the meta. It was game changing for this game, but it was fun, but it was very, very toxic. If you main Lion, I'm assuming you just talk shit to the enemies all the time because you like annoying the shit out of everybody and being the most infuriating person to play against. There's nothing like being in a 5v1 and you get Lion scanned. Like, bro, are you good? If you main Dokkaebi, you understand how important cams are to this game, and your trigger finger would probably make a lot of women happy. If you main Sophia, you probably play the game a lot less than you once did, mostly because the LMG meta got completely nerfed and her M7 got nerfed out of the ass. Don't get me wrong, the M7 isn't as bad as it first was when they nerfed it, but the gun just still doesn't hit the same like it once did. So I gotta know, what games are you playing that's not Siege? Because, like, I know for a fact you're not playing Siege anymore, man. If you main Ying, you love flashing the hell to your teammates. I have never met a Ying main that was that was past the rank gold. I don't know what it is. I'm not saying Ying is a bad operator, but for somebody to main this operator, you must hate your life. Like, I'm assuming you cannot shoot your gun straight. You're constantly having to flash people. And don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of utility, but spamming flash candelas into people's face, I don't know, it just feels annoying and just like a boring way to play this game. If you main Hibana, you understand that Hibana does not need to only be a hard breacher for hatches. And in my TikTok comments when I was talking about Hibana, people try to say that Hibana was only useful for hatches, which isn't true. So if you main Hibana, I'm assuming you're in the 1% of elo in this game, because Hibana is great for hatches. Don't get me wrong, you're right when it comes to that, but she's also great for creating lines of sight. For example, you can double up on certain hard breaches, like say you're playing a clubhouse and you go Hibana and you have a teammate that's going thermite or ace. You guys can open up multiple walls, and say you're attacking cash room, Hibana can open up garage 1 angle and then open up the bottom of garage 2. Ace can go push construction with another teammate or two, and then Hibana can go towards flat and open the main wall just for lines of sight and cut off anybody rotating. That is usually how high rank plays on PC, but once again, people just called me stupid and called me a silver when I'm just like, my bad, bro. If you main Capital, I don't have anything to say because nobody mains as operator. And I know I'm going to see people commenting down below about how they main Capital, but I got to know, how long have you been doing it and why? Do you enjoy smokes? Do you I'm assuming you actually came from a game like CSGO, because you must love utilizing smokes, because I've never seen anybody main this operator. Don't get me wrong, I feel like this operator has so much potential, but at the same time, nobody plays them. If you main Blackbeard, you probably have erectile dysfunction and you suck at this game. If you main Buck, I'm gonna assume that you're Canadian and you just like the way that his hockey mask looks. If you main Buck, I'm assuming that you probably just haven't played in a very long time, especially because Buck has been nerfed out of the ass. I feel like his destructibility used to be a lot better with his skeleton key. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Buck is bad in any way, but back in the day, he used to be able to destroy floors like there was no tomorrow. He used to also have grenades. So Buck, he's a great operator, but I kind of miss him with ACOG and grenades. If you main IQ, I'm assuming that you only like going her for her weapons, and that's fair. She has some really strong weapons, which she has the Commando, G8, and the AUG. If you main Blitz, you're probably Bronze. Like, how do you main an operator that's main objective is to flash people and you have a shield? If you main Fuse, I'm assuming that you like fusing your teammates while they're in sight, and you're probably sitting in silver ranking, because don't get me wrong, to main this operator means you're using it every single day. And to be honest, I just don't see how this operator can be efficient all the time. So that's why I'm saying you're silver. But if you occasionally use Fuse, I'm going to assume that you're probably sitting in a higher rank. You're a smart player because you can definitely understand that his utility is very fun when used properly, and it can destroy so much of the defender's utility. Listen, if you main Glaz, I'm going to be completely honest. I'm assuming that you have a high KD, but not because you get a lot of kills, but because you bait your teammates and you're last one alive. You probably lose a lot of ranked games. If you main Montang, I'm assuming that you can't use an actual weapon, and you're probably someone's dad, to be honest. Because how do you main this operator and have enjoyment? Don't get me wrong, Montang's a strong operator, but when you're maining him and you're consistently using him, that cannot be fun, man. If you main Twitch, it's primarily because Ashe has been nerfed for so many seasons, and she's just honestly a better Ashe. It's kind of weird because a lot of people say that Twitch is a support character, which is technically true. It's just people don't use her as a support. Basically, they use her as first entry a lot of the times just because her gun is so powerful. Like, would you guys still use Twitch if the F2 was taken from Twitch and she, you know, I don't know, got swapped a different weapon? Main Thermite, I'm assuming that you're probably an OG of this game and you'd just like to keep it nice and basic. If you main Ashe, I don't know what to say, man. Like, is it because of the speed? Like, why? Like, I don't even know what to say to you guys. A lot of people who used to main Ashe have now went on to better things, like for example Twitch or Sophia or anybody else. If you main Thatcher, I'm just going to assume that you never played the game anymore ever since operator banning has been a thing. I say that Thatcher is not as banned as much, but he still is banned quite a bit from what I've seen. So who do you play, man? Because I like, there's nobody that mains this operator. Like, literally nobody. It's not possible. If you main Sledge, you're probably Garfieldisdoc. You probably have a stupid little charm in game that you can get by subbing on Twitch, either with a tier 1 sub or prime sub, or, you know, if you're feeling extra spicy, maybe a tier 2 or tier 3. You're goated, man. Like, what's up? What is it like having two silly little orange cats? If you main Solus, I'm assuming that you probably once main Pulse back in the early days of Siege, because you understand how important the utility information is, and being able to see where drones are and where people are planning is really cool. So I gotta give it to you. This is a good main. If you main a zombie, I'm assuming that you're also a high IQ player. Doesn't matter your rank, you understand that blocking some stuff off, it can be very effective. I really love a zombie and what she can bring to the table, but there are some of those players that have no idea how to play her and just throw her little knife into floors that literally do nothing. So like, go watch a tips and tricks video on how to use this. If you main Thorn, I'm assuming that you're probably a console player. I don't know what it is. I don't see Thorn played that much on PC. Don't get me wrong, you probably only use her because her gun and because how easy her gadget is. So I'm assuming that you have severe ADHD and you just like to run around and shoot things. If you main Thunderbird, you're probably a rank star who runs the rank streets up to 5 a.m. every night, or you're the complete opposite. You're probably just a support player who sees the value in Thunderbird and you like to play sight. There's a lot of rad ass Thunderbird players though that just be running around smoking kids. If you made a Rooney, you're probably really good at the game. There's a lot of things that a Rooney brings to the table, and you can block off so many doorways, and you can make some crazy bulletproof cams with her little gates. So you're probably just really good at Siege. Maybe Melusi, it's probably only because of the amount of utility she has. Before, a lot of players used to run her because she was so easy and had so much value, because she was a 3-speed with, you know, so much impact in terms of her gadget and secondary gadget. But now she's really good in terms of utility, but it just sucks how slow she is now. If you main Oryx, I'm gonna assume that one day you used to be an Ashe main. Oryx is probably one of the most annoying ranked operators to play against because he has so much going for him in terms of his 1.5 times scope on one of the best defensive weapons, which is the T5, and him just being able to rotate everywhere, open hatches, jump up them. Incredibly infuriating for an attacker. If you main Wamai, you were probably once a Jaeger main and you just got really bored of playing Jaeger after probably 4 years. So yeah, how is it doing basically the same exact job except a little bit worse in most scenarios and with a worse weapon? If you main Goyo, it's probably just because he has a 1.5 times scope on his Vector, which is very valid because this gun shreds kids, and being able to have a 1.5 times scope, I can't hate. I can't judge you. Once again, if you main Warden, it is just because he has a 1.5 times scope. The meta has shifted as defensive operators to use operators with 1.5 times scope, because people can run and gun, run around like idiots, and it seems like their utility in terms of their main gadget is just, you know, the second thought. If you main Mozzie, you're probably 5 foot. If you main Cade, you're probably an old man like Senville. If you main Clash, you probably piss sitting down. If you main Alibi, you are once again only maining her because of the gun and the rate of fire. Even with the 1.5 times scope being gone off of her, it's just the rate of fire. It's just a fun gun, and people love using fun guns in Siege. If you main Maestro, you're probably an OG support player. You've been playing support since you got into the game, and you enjoy his nice sexy forearms. Like, this man is so buff, man. Like, if you main Vigil, you probably enjoy roaming very, very much, being a pest to the attackers, or you just think he's cool and like his guns. If you main Ella, I'm assuming you're an e-girl. I don't know what it is. A lot of the e-girls just use this operator, and like, it's nothing against them. It's just, why? Out of all operators, it's Ella. Main Legion, you probably have the worst crosshair placement. I know this is probably one of the most random things to say about any operator, but anybody that mains Legion, I usually see them and they have the worst mechanical skill. Keep in mind, I'm saying main, not use occasionally. I'm saying main. If you main Mira, I'm assuming that you just unlocked her and someone told you that she's super strong, but you have no idea about any Mira setups. Or on the flip side, you've probably been playing the game since year 2 and you got some very annoying random Mira placements. Like, I've seen people that extend and roam with Mira, and like, it's just so annoying just hiding behind a goddamn mirror. Like, frig off. If you made Echo, your favorite map is probably Consulate. I feel like Consulate is just such an effective map for Echo, just because of all the wide open areas and how you can deny so many plants. So what's it like having a 90% win rate on Consulate? If you main Cav, your name is probably Godly Noob, and that's it. Anybody that tries to follow in his footsteps is nowhere close as good as he is with Cav. If you made Valkyrie, you're probably just a Coconut Bra fanboy who just doesn't play the game that much anymore because how much they've nerfed Valkyrie with the outside cams. If you made Frost, it's probably because of how much she is in the meta now, especially with the extended barrel buff coming out. Frost just has so much going for her with the 1.5 times scope, shield, bulletproof cam, and frost mats, which she's just so good. Do you remember when people used to roast Frost players? And I used to be like, Frost is actually pretty decent though. Like, Jinxie at one point made a remark about Frost, and I'm like, that just doesn't make sense. She's so good. In Bandit, it's probably only because you don't like Cade's primary. Besides that, you just love the MP7. It's probably one of your favorite guns in the game, I would assume. If you main Jaeger, you're a high elo player, because you understand that Jaeger is needed no matter what. It is a very annoying thing, in my opinion, to always have to run Jaeger, and after so many years of playing this operator, I feel almost bored because the 416 has been nerfed out of the ass. Even though it is still a very good gun, it just feels so boring using him. And it also pisses me off that I can never get the goddamn black ice for this gun. Like, every other skin in the game that I wanted with black ice, I got, besides the MP7. It's always these two stupid operators. Chonka, you're a very rare breed. Like, Chachanka got a rework and everybody was so hyped up about it, and then nothing happened after that. I swear, nobody plays this operator, and it's so sad because he's actually so good. So I don't know. I don't know what to even say about this because I haven't seen enough Chachanka players. If you main Capcan, I'm gonna assume that you're either really high in rank or you're really low in rank. Either or, like, you're annoying to play against. If you main Rook, I gotta know why. Like, why? I'm gonna see people arguing that it gives you more HP and you can self-revive, and they're gonna try to argue with me and try to make it work. Literally 90% of the time, if you get down but not out, you're not gonna be able to self-revive yourself. I'm sorry. And that extra health doesn't mean shit when you're facing good players and they headshot you. Or when you're facing bad players and they can't control recoil and the recoil gets you headshotted. If you main Doc, it's because he's quite literally meta now. The only thing that does suck about Doc at the moment is his speed, but he has a lot going for him. He has MP5 1.5, or the P90 if you like being weird, or the shotgun if you like being even more weird. If you main Pulse, you're probably Jinxie, or you're a Jinxie fanboy just because of the cardiac sensor memes. That's it. If you main Castle, I once again, why? how do you main this operator on every single map without throwing your team? Like, I have to assume you're new to the game. If you main Mute, you're a soldier, man. You really stuck it out with all these nerfs that came out with Mute. This man is so freaking slow now, but like, I respect to you guys that still run him. I still run him because of how much I love the operator and just his kit. Main Smoke, I appreciate you, but I also hate you if you're on my team because I want to run Smoke as well. Smoke is such a great operator, and in the right hands, he's game-changing and probably one of the most consistent, effective operators in the game. So this is a very valid main if I were to say any other main. Now, guys, that was the video, and, you know, ignore me being gold 3. I have 30 matches played this season. Besides that, if you guys enjoyed this video and you want to go, you know, support the channel because I am uploading more now, that would be much appreciated, guys. If you disagree with any of my opinions, go down in the comments and, you know, chew my head out and how I'm stupid. Besides that, you guys have a lovely day, and thank you so much for watching.